You don't have to feel good about it. You just have to keep going. The feeling will pass, but you will remain. You are greater than your feelings. Going to bed late and waking up early to work for a few days won't kill you. You're not going to burn out. You're doing what it takes. If you're one of those people that push work-life balance, just remember, the people who like working a lot don't care. I've never regretted trying harder at anything ever. Hard times last long, but an epic story feels like a lifetime.
Nailed it.
Fuck yeah. I just think when I look at you in particular, and I realized this during our second conversation at the start of this year, the reason that people get confused about your motivation and your workload is that they don't realize that the thing you do for work is the thing that you do for fun. That's the fundamental misunderstanding that people have. Yeah. And because of that, you're prepared to work hard. And working hard doesn't feel like wasted time. Lots of people associate working hard with not making progress. Therefore, working feels like wasting.
So the idea that working hard doesn't make progress is one of the biggest farces that exists in humanity, because at the end of the day, whatever you amount to isn't going to matter anyways, right? And so if there is anything that's eternal for us, at least as individuals, it's going to be who we become in the process. And so one of my favorite quotes is, the work works on you more than you work on it. And so if you want to be the best in the world at something, you do the work to become the best in the world, and the work works on you. And so I mean, there's a biblical proverb. I think it says like, there is profit in all labor. And that means that even if the thing that you're working on right now doesn't amount to the outcome that you expected that it would, it doesn't mean that you don't become better through doing it. And so I'll give you a very real example. So I spent 5 years building a chain of gyms. So I had 6 locations, and after that, I sold 5 of them. I shut one down, and then I transitioned to doing turnarounds. In the transition between shutting my gyms down, I got a big payday because I sold my 5 gyms. Big for me, relative. I took all that money and I put it into the next thing. The partner that I had in that next thing ended up taking the money and disappearing, filing bankruptcy, and sending it to his girlfriend in Sweden. I couldn't make this up. So there was no way I could get the money back, and he had filed bankruptcy. So there was no course of action for a lawsuit. And so a lot of people would probably go through that mental situation and think, and I went through this, was thinking, I just wasted the last 5 years. Like I literally started a chain, built, like put everything into the second location, put everything in the third location, the fourth location, fifth, it kept going, right? I kept doubling down, and then I get my big payday and I put it all on black, and then it disappears with one spin of the roulette. And so here I am, and I'm like, I have nothing to show for the last 5 years of work. But then in the next 12 months, I made more money than I'd ever made in my entire life up to that point. The 5 years I made more profit the next 12 months than I made in the last 5 years times like 5. And it was because, and I was only able to realize this in retrospect, which is why I'm sharing it, which is that the thing that was the outcome of those 5 years was me and the skills and the experiences that I possessed through going through it. And so whatever the next mountain that you're trying to climb is, of course it's going to be higher, but it's going to require you to go through the smaller mountains to get to that point. So, because the more able you are, the more able you realize you can become. And you will get way bigger outcomes from the things that you had, like the path that led you here, than you think you can. And so that's why since that moment where I lost everything, and then I was able to make more in the next 12 months, I realized that no work is wasted, because I am the output of the work, not the outcome. And that was one of the biggest frame shifts for me in never thinking that work is wasted, because the more I work, the bigger my work ethic, the more my work capacity increases. And to give an exercise example, because I think it's cool and interesting, is that a lot of people talk about this concept of overtraining. Don't worry, I'll bring it back. All right, they talk about this concept of overtraining. I remember I had this a woman that Layla and I are friends with, very successful business owner, had a boy toy with her. And he was like, aren't you concerned about overtraining? And I was feeling a little pissy that day. And I said, bro, once you start looking like you work out, you can worry about overtraining. I was like, until that point, you don't need to worry about overtraining. I was being a little bit mean. But I think he did remember it, and he did change the way he trained, and he did gain muscle afterwards. So I felt okay about it. Now, the point of that little quip, right, was that what I explained to him is that your ability to recover from working out itself is trainable. So when you do more volume, your ability to withstand volume, your work capacity increases. And so to the same degree, people are like, I feel burnt out. The thing is that you either die or you adapt. That's it. Right? And in the fitness world, you either die, get injured, or adapt. Right? And since you're probably not going to die, you really just need to make sure that you don't get injured. And if you don't get injured and you don't die, you get better. And so that mental process in terms of how I see work has been like the most self-fulfilling prophecy that I've had, because the more I work, the better I get at working, the more productive I am per unit of time. And then I get the outcomes that happen eventually. But the point is, and I already know, you know this, but the outcomes become so irrelevant compared to the reward that you get in the meantime. Because the people who are experts, and this is from my good friend, Dr. Kashi, people who are experts at any skill become experts because they learn how to become rewarded from the work itself. And so like they don't actually have something that you don't. It's just that they measure success differently.